Still about a minute early, so I'm going to wait before I actually say anything important. But if you got here a little early, I'm happy to have you. All right, now we're on time, and it's time for the Tech Guy off the radio, the Tech Guy's AM court, however you want to phrase it. I am your host, Pete the Tech Guy, and today I am coming to you from my bedroom because, frankly, everyone else is asleep. I think my son had to get into work early. He doesn't drive. So my wife probably gave him a lift, or he took either that or he goes in at noon and is crashed at the moment. And my wife is definitely crashed downstairs. She's been on the recliner. She's had some back problems, so she can't lie down. So the doors are closed, and I'm trying to speak in a low tone. And we're going to do the show right here from the bed through the miracle of live streaming. Again, the Tech Guys off the radio, the Tech Guys AM Court. You can find us at DaTechGuyBlog.com, DaTechGuy blog.com, the Tech Guy blog on Twitter, the Tech Guy blog on YouTube, etc. And what a morning, what a week. And what a last couple of hours. We had a long day at work yesterday, and this is normally my day off. I'm actually going in for 6 hours because things are so busy at work because we do e-commerce. So with a lot of states still not opening up, it's been a lot busier than normal, which means overtime for me. I'll take the extra money. I just put more on my mortgage like I did with the Trump money. But today I want to talk about, and I know we've talked about Tara Reade a lot, but I want to talk about them in terms of something I wrote a long time ago and expanded on a long time ago, which are the Tech Guys' laws of media outrage. And the Tech Guys' law, for those of you who don't know, and I'm sure there's plenty of you who don't know, the Tech Guys' laws of media outrage are basically the rules under which, over the last 10 or 11 years, since I've done in-person reporting and so forth, that the media operates under. The media operates under the laws of media outrage. These are the rules by which the media decides what to do with a story. And I finally decided that, I should collect them together and put them in one post. And I'm going to talk about those rules and how they apply to the Tara Reade case, especially given that Morning Joe finally had Joe Biden on. And I actually find that hilarious itself because I woke up around 8:55. I should have gone to bed a little bit earlier, but yeah, I played a couple of league games in my Dynasty Baseball League before I hit the sack. And what I did a search on YouTube and I used the Roku account. So I'm not signed into any particular account because I didn't want a bias in it. And I noticed that the video that came up was not Mika Brzezinski's actual interview with Joe Biden, which you would think would be the most newsworthy thing, but her long introduction, half of which was devoted to the charges, and half of which was devoted to attacking Trump. And I thought that way, and I'm like, boy, you could not illustrate better what I'm about to talk about than to watch her deadpan this. Oh, actually, I take that back. About a third of it was the accusations, about a third of it was hitting Trump, and about a third of it was about how wonderful Morning Joe was for not judging Brett Kavanaugh. And they literally played clip after clip of them saying that, some of them in media are going too far on the Kavanaugh thing, which is probably why the Biden campaign, with a month to decide who they were going to do this, decided to put him on Morning Joe, which from what I've seen from clips of the interview did not do him as much good as he would have liked to have done him. But I want to get to the laws of media outrage, because while the Tara Reade story is here, there will be many other stories and have been many other stories. And one of the things that you have an advantage of when you've been credentialed press at press conferences and so forth is you get to see the media in action. But not only do you get to see the media in action, but you get to hear them before the cameras go on, before the questions get out. You get to sit with them. And because I don't have my Doctor Who scarf on now, but because I'm a big guy, I'm wearing a hat and I've got a multicolored scarf, people presume that I'm from some gay publication or whatever. And I generally keep my mouth shut until I ask my questions. So when you do that, the media assumes that they're among a bunch of friends, and they'll talk freely amongst themselves. They'll act particular ways amongst themselves, ways that will blow you away if you're actually interested in doing real journalism. But let's get into the Tech Guys Midnight Court, and Laws of Media Outrage. I'm going to read the piece a little bit because although I'll do jumping back and forth. You can find all of the laws. I put them up today so you could find them at thetechguyblog.com. The post is called The Tech Guys 4 Law of Media Outrage, Tara Reade edition. And yes, I'm pronouncing it right for a change. My wife has been on my case about pronouncing it right. I'm very bad with names. Now, I've been referencing the Tech Guys Law of Media Outrage, and I came up with them over time. I'm going to go through each law, talk a little bit about the law, and then say how it applies to Tara Reade, or Tara Reade, I should say. All right. The Tech Guys' first law of media outrage is the level of outrage or interest of the media and their allies on the left concerning any insult or prevarication concerning a person or thing will routinely be equal to the inverse of the degree of the political distance between said media / leftists and the target of said insult or prevarication at the time it is made. Now, that basically says that the closer that the media is to a subject politically, or the closer to the left that the media is to a subject politically, the lower the level of outrage. The farther away, the higher the level of outrage. And the examples of this are numerous. For example, we hear during the Obama years, of course, there's no hint of scandal in the Obama years. And of course, now we're finding out that the FBI was basically used as a thug routine, which doesn't surprise me, given that you had a Chicago thug in the White House for 8 years. And I used to say machine politician, but now I'm after the revelations that we've seen concerning Reade, let's call Obama what he was, a thug. Or he was. Think of the movie Casino and the face of the organization. I think it was Kevin Spacey who played the face of the organization, the front man. That was Obama, and that's the charitable interpretation of it. Or think of back during the Bill Clinton days, before the great revelation, before the Harvey Weinstein thing, when everyone defended Bill Clinton constantly on the left. And again, as long as the accusations were coming from the left, or of a person from the left, they're not newsworthy. A great example of this was we had a Massachusetts state rep, Vasquez, I believe his name is. I could find him in the post. It literally just came to me that I wrote about years ago, who was literally in jail, and he had been accused of assault. A woman actually had to jump out of her car to get away, and it got no national coverage at a time that Donald Trump was being attacked. I mean, no national coverage. Elizabeth Warren had nothing. Nobody had anything to say about it. And it was actually at a point where, this was before Trump was in it, that he was actually voting from jail while he was being held. And of course, his mother was an Obama official, so it was considered completely unnewsworthy. Again, the distance between him and the left was small, so there was no outrage. And again, that's also when you see the beatings by the Antifa people, who now everyone is masked, so it's hard to pick them out these days and so forth. Or James Hodgkin, who has been memory hold, the guy who shot up Steve Scalise and tried to murder a bunch of Republicans. The guy's been memory hold. Nobody talks about him. If he had been shooting Democrats, he would be the next. Everyone would be still talking about him. He'd be brought up as an example over and over again. And we've seen people. I actually debated somebody and called out a Daily Kos guy who was defending the guy who beat up Rand Paul. And again, the distance between Paul and the left is far, and the distance between the guy who beat him up and him is near, the level of outrage wasn't there. So to repeat the law, the first law of media outrage, the level of outrage or interest of the media and their allies on the left concerning any insult or prevarication concerning a person or thing will be routinely equal to the inverse of the degree that the political distance of said media and leftists and the target of said insult or prevarication at the time it's made. Now, the application with Tara Reade is this. Joe Biden addressed this directly for the first time. Remember, they got a comment from Donald Trump first, and I think that was the plan. Because if you watch the Morning Joe piece, they literally spent 18 minutes. The clip that I saw on YouTube just before the show was 18 minutes, and they spent 6 of it hitting Trump. They spent time playing the Billy Bush tape. They played and suddenly all of these women who were supposedly going after Trump, who they never bothered to bring on. This is what I find really, really interesting. During the time that Trump was running, I was still watching Morning Joe regularly. And they never brought these women up. They mentioned them weekly, but they never brought them in for interviews. Now, if these women were credible, I would have them on the show. I would have them say their things, but they weren't brought on. And none of them were gone into any depth. And the reason for this, in my opinion, is that they have no credibility. Because if they were credible, you bring them on. But of course, the other reason is the opponent was Hillary Clinton. And they did not want to play that game with Bill Clinton sitting right there. Because then, of course, the question becomes, how many times have you had Bill Clinton on and how many times did you address them? And they never did. They had Clinton on over and over again and never attacked. But I found it was just so interesting, so amazing to watch it and how this was framed. And this wasn't the fact that it's the first search. If I really should sit the opposite direction so I could have it up on the screen behind me. But it's so blatant. It's hilarious. Well, that's the Tech Guys Law Media and Outrage. And here's, again, the application. You saw no interest in this story, the Tara Reade allegation. You saw no outraged members of the Me Too groups, no groups of angry feminists on shows, no columns denouncing Joe Biden as a misogynist, because the distance between the media folks and Joe Biden's campaign is non-existent. And contrast this to the outrage over the debunked accusations versus Kavanaugh. And what's funny is they didn't, even on Morning Joe, they did not mention that the accusations are debunked, that the evidence wasn't there. The Tara Reade's case is bigger than that. And I love the fact that she brought up that this Larry King thing. They didn't play they played the Trump Billy Bush tape, but they did not play the Larry King clip. They actually I mean, if you're MSNBC, you haven't seen the clip still. But they played the Billy Bush tape and it's full again. And it is so blatant. It is so, oh my God. I mean, all I can think of is Ambush Bug unmasking Superman. You think people are still falling for this? And there are people in the bubble. The whole intro of that was to say to people, well, maybe even if you believe he did it after we talked to him, Trump is worse. It's like Leonard at in the first season of Big Bang Theory going after Sheldon. Yes, I've got these problems, but he's worse. That's the game plan. That is the game plan. And it's going to be, oh my God. This tells me that they're at least the base plan is to stick with Biden. That's what this tells me. Well, that's the Tech Guy's first law of media outrage. Now, I'm going to get to the second law of media outrage as soon as I retweet this to try and get a few more people watching this podcast. And I want to thank the folks who are here. Thanks for being here. I'm going to send out a quick thank you. Thanks for coming. M-I-N-G, except for I put in one too many M's. I-N-G. So, now the Tech Guy's second law of media outrage. The Tech Guy's second law of media outrage states the following. And you can find examples of these all through. If you do a search of DaTechGuyblog.com of the Tech Guy's law of media outrage, you'll find various stories that apply to these, which is where I came up with each of these laws. I would add a law when I saw a story that applied to it. And the second law of media outrage is the level of acceptance of the positions or actions of any group or organization by the left or media is directly proportional to their current or potential value in electing Democrats. And basically, the idea of that is if a proposition comes up that the left believes will elect a Democrat, if an idea comes up or position comes up that the left thinks will help elect a Democrat, if they think it's something of value to elect Democrats, they'll jump at it. And a great example of this is the Wuhan virus business. China's been putting out a lot of propaganda lately about the Wuhan virus, and the left has jumped at it, and they've accepted this Chinese propaganda. And why do they accept it? Because those positions of the Chinese, in their opinion, are directly proportional to the value in electing Democrats. Why did the Democrats accept the shutting down of the economy after this time in just about every state where it's not a danger anymore, and even in upstate New York where it's not a danger? Because the acceptance of that position, in their opinion, helps elect Democrats. As long as it doesn't matter who the person who advances the position is. It doesn't matter if it's an anti-American position. It doesn't matter if it's an anti-free speech position. It doesn't matter if it's it's anti. As the law states, the level of acceptance of the positions or actions of any group or organization by the left or media is directly proportional to their current or potential value in electing Democrats. If they think it'll put a Democrat in a position of power, that's their position. They're going to accept that. They're going to embrace that. The coronavirus thing is the best example of it. And the example of this, the Tara Reade application, is this. Look at the edits of the